Hello friends, welcome to a new topic today. In this chapter we are going to learn about scleritis, that is inflammation of sclera proper. So in this scleritis scleritis is an autoimmune disorder. Okay, so this because it is an autoimmune disorder, it is associated with so scleritis, it can be anything. It is inflammation of sclera. Etiology is it includes autoimmune collagen disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, polyarteritis nodosa, systemic lupus erythematosus, invaginatus granulomatosis. It can occur in metabolic disorders like gout, thyroid, and also granulomatous diseases. Some infections like herpes zoster virus, staphylococcal, and streptococcus is also associated with scleritis. Miscellaneous diseases like radiation, burns, and Behçet's disease are also seen with scleritis. So if you see pathologically, scleritis has fibrinoid necrosis. In this we have first fibrinoid necrosis, and this fibrinoid necrosis in the center is surrounded by the polymorphonuclear cells and macrophages and plasma cells. And so we will see first classification of scleritis. Scleritis can be classified into into two types. One which is called as non-infectious scleritis, second which is called as infectious scleritis. So if you see, in infectious scleritis, as the name says, it is due to some infection, bacterial or viral and fungal. So if it is due to bacterial infections, most commonly bacterial infections, so it causes purulent exudate. It also causes painful nodules, also called as scleral ulcers, are seen in infectious scleritis. Then we have non-infectious scleritis. Non-infectious scleritis can be divided into two types. One we have anterior scleritis, second we have posterior scleritis. In anterior scleritis, if you see, anterior scleritis can be divided into non-necrotizing scleritis and necrotizing scleritis. Anterior scleritis can be divided into non-necrotizing and necrotizing scleritis. In non-necrotizing anterior scleritis, it can be diffuse or nodular. So in diffuse, as the name says, it involves most of the sclera, that is more than 1/4 of the anterior sclera, then we call it as diffuse. That means in diffuse scleritis we have inflammation involving more than 1/4 of the anterior sclera, and there is also raised salmon pink color which is seen in diffuse non-necrotizing sclerosis. There is raised salmon pink color seen in diffuse non-necrotizing sclerosis. Then what is the treatment? Treatment is, in this situation you will have to use steroid eye drops should be used in this diffuse non-necrotizing non-infectious sclerosis. Okay, then we have non-necrotizing scleritis, that is nodular type of non-necrotizing sclerosis. In nodular type of non-necrotizing scleritis, we have, there is nodule will be seen. There will be one or two hard purplish immobile nodules are seen near the limbus. Okay, so this is annular scleritis. Okay, this is present as the ring. So this is nodular scleritis. Then we have necrotizing scleritis. These necrotizing scleritis can be divided into, they can be present with inflammation or without inflammation. If they are present with inflammation, then it is associated with infarction. Okay, here because it is associated with inflammation, you can see transparent ectatic sclera is seen in this type of with inflammation, non-necrotizing and with inflammation, necrotizing inflammation of scleritis. If you see, there will be infarction and there will be transparent ectatic sclera which is associated with it. Uveal tissue shines from it. So this is mainly seen in vasculitis. Then we have necrotizing scleritis without inflammation. Here, if it is without inflammation, this mainly shows an yellowish patch of melting sclera is seen, which is nothing but white sclera. It is seen in rheumatoid arthritis. See, even if you don't know the appearance, at least you should know that these differences, so these classification is present. Okay, then we also have posterior scleritis. So in the posterior scleritis, this is associated with mainly inflammation, and this includes retinitis. This shows retinal detachment, proptosis, macular edema, and all these are associated with this posterior scleritis. Now, what should you do for necrotizing scleritis? If there is necrotizing scleritis, you will have to give topical. Oral steroids can be given. You can use immunosuppressive agents can be used, and you can also use scleral graft therapy can be used for surgery. If it is infectious, obviously you should give antimicrobial therapy, and you will have to do surgical debridement. Okay, so this is about the scleritis. So in this you will have to do normal workup, that is fine. So first I will show you some pictures for on scleritis. So if you see, these are the pictures of scleritis. Okay, so what are you seeing here? Here this is diffuse scleritis. Okay, here in this picture we are seeing diffuse scleritis. Okay, then in this picture this is present, the inflammation is limited to a nodule, right? So this is nodular sclerosis. In both these there is no necrosis. Now what is necrosis? This is necrosis, and this is the necrotizing scleritis which is seen. So all these black colored are due to necrosis, and this occurs without inflammation. See, the eye has little inflammation, not much. Okay, this is the necrotizing scleritis with inflammation. See how red the eyes are. So this is necrotizing scleritis with inflammation. Okay, so these are the different pictures of the scleritis. Next, if you see, this is staphyloma. What is staphyloma? Staphyloma is ectasia of the sclera, is called as staphyloma. So we'll see that. So here first we'll see staphyloma. Staphyloma is the localized bulging of the sclera, that is thin bulging of thin weak outer tunic eyeball is staphyloma. Staphyloma is localized bulging of weak and thin outer tunic eyeball is staphyloma. This staphyloma is of different types. One, we have something called as anterior staphyloma. In this anterior staphyloma, it occurs mainly due to the corneal ulcer. So this anterior staphyloma, we can call it as pseudocornea. What are the complications of anterior staphyloma? This anterior staphyloma can result in glaucoma, or they can increase intraocular pressure. It can cause ulceration and pigmentation. So this is anterior staphyloma. Then we have one more staphyloma, which is ciliary staphyloma. In ciliary staphyloma, it occurs, sclera is lined by the ciliary body. So there is ectasia of the sclera with ciliary body is ciliary staphyloma. Here it occurs due to injury or scleritis or absolute glaucoma. Here etiological feature is itself glaucoma. So it occurs due to injury or scleritis or absolute glaucoma. Okay, then we have the next type of staphyloma, which is called as equatorial staphyloma. In equatorial staphyloma, it mainly occurs due to scleritis, and here there is degeneration of sclera, especially in pathological myopia. It is associated with pathological myopia, that is equatorial scleritis. Then we have posterior scleritis. In the posterior scleritis, etiology is pathological myopia or posterior scleritis due to perforating injury. Posterior scleritis or perforating injury. So all these are the causes of posterior staphyloma. If it is posterior staphyloma, there is increase in axial length is seen whenever there is staphyloma in the posterior staphyloma. Then if you see, we have something called as interscalary staphyloma. Intercalary staphyloma occurs within 3 centimeters to limbus. Okay, here it occurs in secondary angle closure glaucoma, trauma, or it can occur in marked corneal astigmatism. So if you see, anterior staphyloma is due to corneal ulcer, posterior staphyloma is due to pathological myopia and perforating injuries, whereas ciliary staphyloma can be due to injury or scleritis or absolute glaucoma, whereas intercalary staphyloma can be due to secondary angle closure glaucoma or trauma or corneal astigmatism. So this is about staphyloma. Next, so next we will learn about cornea in the next class. So thank you guys for watching my lecture. In the next class we will learn about cornea. Thank you.